G'day guys, Carla from Go Travel. Today, new wheels for the big girl, new kicks, new little kicks. So the tyres, Maxxis RAZR ATs in a 275/70 R18. They're definitely not a bad looking tyre. The only thing I don't really like about the Maxxis is the tread depth is only 12 mil, so they're not a very meaty tyre, but still not a bad looking pattern, not a bad looking sidewall. The new Maxxis, they're not much bigger than the factory tyres, probably about half an inch in it. They're almost a 33 and these are almost 33.5. I think the overall diameter of these Maxxis was 846 OD. So the wheels are an American Outlaw Legacy in satin black. So just a basic 8-spoke design, a little bit of highlights on the spokes. There's nothing too flash. There is a mile of room between the brake caliper on these wheels. So wheel-wise, it's probably a better design than my KMCs. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of wheel exposed that's potentially going to get scratched off road. But there's a few things I want to talk about with the wheels. So like I said in my last wheel video, is offset's everything. Offset's what gives these things stance, a little bit of poke, and stance is what makes these things look tough. So as you can see, looking down the side, running the smaller tyres, they definitely sit just within the guards. And looking from the back, so tiny little bit of sidewall hanging out, not much, marginal compared to the last ones. But obviously the bigger tyre, the wider tyre you go, the more sidewall it's going to hang out. You're not going to have any dramas with it. They don't stick out of the guards enough for highway patrol to look at you twice, but it's enough to make it look like it's got stance and look like it should. Me personally, I think they look small under the car. But keep in mind, my car is lifted a little bit. I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. The more I see it, the more I think it doesn't look that bad. The offset definitely fixed my hatred for little wheels on the standard wheels. Having a little bit more of an aggressive sidewall as well definitely makes it look a bit tougher, which is definitely something these things need. They need to look big and tough. Whilst it's only a 275 tyre, the 9-inch wide rim actually makes it sit a little bit wider. So you imagine that essentially you've got the tyre bulging half an inch further than what it would on an 8-inch wide wheel, which is what the factory ones are, obviously. So, you know, a little road tyre on the factory wheel. So yeah, when you look at a factory tyre beside this, so admittedly this is 10 mil wider, but that looks much more than 10 mil wider than the standard factory tyre. And that's all about that rim width. So that rim width is actually pulling the sidewall out a little bit more, so it makes it look like it's wider than what it actually is. And then having them sort of semi-aggressive sidewalls on it, which by all means, these are not an aggressive sidewall, but it's just more aggressive than, say, that of a road tyre. You know, tread width of, call it 23 centimetres, opposed to a tread width of 20 centimetres on a 265 versus 275. So when you look at these, overall tread width is about a little bit over an inch wider, and then you take into account that flared sidewall because of the rim being wider as well, so you add sort of that extra, call it 12.5 mil each side, which sort of flares it out a bit. You end up with a tyre that actually looks significantly wider than a factory tyre, and then on top of that you put an aggressive tread pattern versus a road tread pattern, and again it just makes it look a bit tougher and a bit more of a full drive. These wheels and tyres, this is part of my Redneck Science experiment. This is now the 4th different size of tyres I've tried. Don't rush out and buy little tyres just yet, because I think everyone's going to be a bit surprised in their results. There's a little bit in it, but probably not enough to justify buying a new set of wheels and tyres. I've actually got a good mate that runs a tyre shop, so I managed to get really good prices on wheels and tyres. That's why, for me, it's worth doing. But that'll be another video alone, because there's a lot of info talking about tyre size, a lot of things to take into account. This is all just about the new wheels, new tyres, new look. I must say, the offset definitely fixed any issue I had with it. The tyres, they do look a little bit small, but you know what? It's not terrible. One thing that I am working out with little tyres, and those who follow my content, not just all my Nissan content, I did a Hilux build and it had small tyres on it compared to what we could have fit under it. And it actually looked like it was higher because of the more distance in the wheel guard than what it actually is. And I'm sort of getting that same opinion of this. It actually looks a bit higher than what it is, even though it's come down in overall height by obviously going to a 33-inch tyre opposed to a 35-inch tyre. So the offset of these wheels being that plus 18 and 9 inches wide, it actually sits out 35 mil further than what the factory wheels do. So if you look at the front of it, it's actually got a track increase of 70 mil. So you get 35 mil each side, plus the extra width of the tyre. So that's where all that stance comes from. But yeah, definitely, I like them. Don't get me wrong, I think 35s look better, but I actually prefer 295 70/18. I think that's the ideal size for these. The other good thing about these American Outlaw wheels is they've actually got like a 1650 load rating. So for those looking at doing GVM upgrades and that, you know, it's probably not a bad wheel because you're looking for that higher load rating in your wheels. One thing I will show you is put the silver nuts back on. I'm glad I checked this because they were the nuts that I got with these wheels. So the fit kit that come with them. And we all know what happened last time I ran tapered, unshouldered nuts like this. It didn't work out too well for me. So we've put the shouldered Gorilla nuts back on. It's probably another thing worth pointing out is if you run black nuts, if you get a new set of wheels and they've got black nuts on them, when you get home, retorque them because you'll find that the paint actually wears and they loosen a little bit. When I took these nuts off, these little black ones, 7.5 turns to get them off. These silver nuts with the shoulder on them is 13.5 turns, so it's actually a massive difference. You've almost got twice the thread engagement on the shouldered nut than what you do on just the tapered nut. So I've said it 1,000 times, but make sure you check your nuts and don't just assume because a wheel shop put your wheels on that they're right. Have a look for yourself and then you can guarantee it. Tread pattern, I think it looks alright. The sidewall pattern, again, I think it looks alright. Not the most aggressive side biters, but still side biters nonetheless to give it a bit of character. I believe they're a 3-ply sidewall as well on these, so, you know, good strong tyre. They should be a good option. The Maxxis RAZR ATs, they're potentially the new people tyres because I am starting to see them around everywhere. So there you have it, that's my new wheel and tyre combo. I feel the tyre's going to perform pretty reasonable off-road. Don't get me wrong, it won't be anything as good as a mud tyre, but as far as looks-wise, I think it ticks a few boxes. I think it looks good, I think the stance and the offset and all that sits right. If you've got a y62 Patrol and you want it to look a bit tougher, look a bit fatter, you want a bit better performance off-road with your tyres, the all-terrain tyres on a 9-inch wide rim with a +18 offset, it's definitely worth considering. It's definitely not a bad looking combo. I'm definitely a big believer of wheels and tyres definitely make the look of a four-wheel drive. Like always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. What do you think about the new little kicks? If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, guys, go travel.